Imagine walking into a place you've never been before, only to come face to face with two little boys. Boys who look exactly like you. What would you do? What if their mother seemed to recognize you, but you had no memory of her? What happens next will shock everyone. But before we start, let's do something fun. Comment your location below. Let's see who's watching from a farthest place. All right, let's begin. The neon sign of a small-town diner flickered against the backdrop of a stormy night. Rain drizzled steadily, turning the cracked pavement into a glistening mirror reflecting the warm glow of the diner's windows. Inside, the low hum of conversation blended with the distant melody of an old jukebox. It was the kind of place where faces were familiar, where stories were told over endless cups of coffee. Noah Prescott, a billionaire real estate mogul, was an outsider here. His sleek black car, now speckled with raindrops, looked out of place in the gravel parking lot. He was used to private jets, high-rise offices, and five-star dining. This was worlds away from his carefully curated life. Yet here he was, stranded in a no-name town, thanks to a GPS glitch and an exhausting day of back-to-back meetings gone wrong. Pushing open the glass door, he stepped inside, his presence immediately drawing subtle glances. Dressed in a designer suit, slightly wrinkled from the long drive, he was an anomaly among the locals. An elderly couple sipped coffee in the corner. A trucker hunched over a plate of fries. A tired mother tried to hush a fussy toddler. No one paid him much attention, except for her. "Evening. What can I get you?" The voice was soft, but something about it sent a strange ripple down Noah's spine. He looked up, meeting the eyes of a young waitress with warm brown eyes and an easy smile. Her name Tigrid Emily. For a moment, the world blurred. A flicker of recognition stirred in Noah's mind, but he couldn't place it. Was it the curve of her lips? The way her eyes held a knowing look? Or was it something deeper? "A coffee. Black," he said, clearing his throat. "And a menu." She jotted it down, nodding. "Kitchen's open if you're hungry. Our apple pies are famous." He gave a small, polite nod, but his gaze drifted past her, to the small figures peeking from behind the counter. Two little boys, identical, around 4 years old. One clung shyly to Emily's skirt, while the other, bolder, stepped forward, eyes wide with curiosity. His tiny face was illuminated by the warm overhead light, and that's when Noah saw it. The same hazel eyes, the same dimple on the left cheek, a mirror image of himself. His breath caught, his heart pounded, a strange sensation twisting in his chest. No, it had to be a coincidence. Children resemble strangers all the time, didn't they? But the way Emily tensed, the flicker of something unreadable in her eyes, made his doubt deepen. He opened his mouth. To ask what? He wasn't sure, but she quickly turned, guiding the boys toward the back. She cut him off with a quick, apologetic smile. "Sorry about that. They're usually not here, but my sister canceled at the last minute." Noah swallowed, his voice unexpectedly rough. "They're yours." A flicker of hesitation, then a nod. "Yeah, they just turned 4 last month." 4. The number hit him like a punch to the gut. 5 years ago, his life had been a whirlwind. His father's funeral, sleepless nights buried in work, meaningless relationships he barely remembered. Has there been someone? A fleeting romance he had forgotten. Emily bit her lip, shifting uncomfortably. "Can I get you anything else?" Noah hesitated. He should let it go. Chalk it up to an exhausted mind playing tricks on him. But the way the boy in blue overalls looked at him, like he knew him, like something in him recognized Noah, the feeling wouldn't let go. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the diner in a stark white glow. The lights flickered, and for the first time in years, Noah felt like his perfectly controlled world was slipping through his fingers. And he had no idea what he was about to uncover next. Noah had come here by accident. But what if fate had other plans? Who was Emily to him? And were these boys truly his? He was about to find out. But some truths change lives forever. Stay tuned, because what happens next will shock you. A storm raged outside, wind slamming against the diner's frosted windows. Inside, Noah Prescott, a billionaire CEO, sat before an untouched plate of food, heart pounding. Something about this place, about her, gnawed at his soul. One moment, he was buried in business calls. The next, he was utterly transfixed by a modest waitress moving through the diner with quiet grace. Emily, a name as delicate as the woman who carried it. But why did her face stir something buried deep within him? And why did her children, twin boys peeking out from behind the kitchen door, have his eyes? Noah pushed his plate aside, his decision made. He had to speak to her. He stood abruptly, causing his chair to screech against the floor. Heads turned. A few customers eyed him curiously. He didn't care. The weight of a long-forgotten past pressed against his chest. Noah slipped past the swinging kitchen door. A breach of restaurant rules, but urgency overrode etiquette. Emily, slicing a pie, froze mid-motion. The knife in her hand trembled. "Sir, customers aren't allowed back here." Her voice wavered. Noah ignored the older cook, shooting daggers at him. His gaze locked onto hers. "Have we met before?" His voice was firm, yet gentle. Her pupils dilated. A flicker of recognition. Then, just as quickly, a mask of denial. No, her hands tightened around the knife handle. "I don't know you." The twins peeked from behind a stack of boxes. Identical dimples on their left cheeks. A Prescott family trait. Noah swallowed hard. "Emily, those boys." She cut him off, voice sharp. "My twins don't have a father." Her breath hitched. "I raised them alone." But her eyes, glassy and brimming with unspoken emotion, betrayed her. Noah's jaw clenched. Why was she lying? Lightning cracked outside, illuminating the tension between them. Noah stepped back, hands raised. "All right, I'll respect your privacy. For now." But as he left the diner, he made a silent vow. He wasn't walking away from this. Not until he uncovered the truth. Noah checked into a roadside motel. Rain hammered the roof, mirroring the storm in his chest. He pulled out his phone, searching old records, business trips, anything that might explain the eerie familiarity. Then a memory surfaced. 5 years ago. A corporate event. A fleeting romance. A woman who vanished before he could even ask her last name. His stomach tightened. Could Emily be that woman? Could those twins be his sons? The realization hit him like a freight train. Noah sat on the bed, gripping his phone. His entire world had shifted. Tomorrow, he will return to that diner. Tomorrow, he will get his answers. But was he ready for the truth? A storm rages as a neon motel sign flickers under a dim street lamp. The rain pounds relentlessly. Noah Prescott, a billionaire known for his ruthless business acumen, parks his sleek black car in front of the rundown motel. He dashes through puddles, his tailored suit soaked as he steps into the dimly lit lobby. The musty scent of old upholstery fills his nostrils. The front desk clerk, a thin, tired-looking man in a frayed cardigan, slides over the check-in log. "Clerk, just passing through." His eyes flick to Noah's expensive shoes and soaked jacket. "Noah," for once, without arrogance. Something like that. The clerk hands him a brass key attached to a worn-out plastic tag. "Clerk, room 7. End of the hall. Watch the stairs, slippery in this weather." Noah nods and takes the creaky wooden stairs 2 at a time, exhaustion weighing him down. Inside, the room is outdated, floral quilts, yellowed wallpaper peeling at the seams. He kicks off his shoes and collapses onto the bed, but sleep doesn't come easily. Lightning flashes. Thunder rolls. His mind drifts, a name. Emily. A face. Warm brown eyes. A soft smile. His pulse quickens. For years ago, he barely remembered her. A waitress in a town he never meant to stay in. But now, the words of the diner woman echoed in his ears. She has twin boys. The storm clears by morning. A golden sunrise paints the sky as Noah's car winds through the quiet town streets. He arrives at the diner, stepping inside to the scent of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee. Unlike the quiet ambience of last night, the morning crowd is lively, farmers swapping stories, truckers laughing between sips of coffee. An older waitress approaches, flipping open her notepad. "Waitress, what can I get you, hon?" Noah, casually but expectant. "Is Emily working this morning?" She pauses, eyebrows arched. "Waitress, Emily's off mornings. She won't be in until this afternoon. Disappointment coils in his chest, but he nods, masking it. He orders coffee, but barely drinks it. Instead, his mind churns. He needs information. He needs proof. Noah leaves the diner and drives through the small town, scanning signs, daycares, schools, anything that might confirm his suspicions. Eventually, he stops at the library, a quiet place where knowledge lingers in dusty records. Inside, an elderly librarian greets him kindly. "Librarian, need help finding something?" "Noah," politely. "I'm researching local birth records. Just looking into some genealogy." She nods, directing him to the microfilm archives. For the next hour, he scans through old birth announcements, fingers shaking when he finally stumbles upon a faded entry. Emily Carter, twin boys, born 4 years ago. His breath catches. It's real. The timeline fits. His heart pounds. Afternoon. A storm brews again, dark clouds rolling in as Noah waits outside the diner, nerves twisting in his gut. Emily's small, battered car pulls up. She steps out, her figure framed against the gloomy sky. She freezes when she sees him, her grip tightening around her purse strap. For a moment, he fears she'll turn and leave. But then she exhales, shoulders squaring. Determined, she walks toward him, cautious but steady. "Emily," coolly, but with underlying tension. "Mr. Prescott." Noah swallows. "This is it." "Noah." Softly. "Emily, I'm sorry if this is overwhelming, but I need to talk to you. Just a moment. Please." She glances toward the diner, where a co-worker watches from the window, curious. Then she sighs, gesturing toward the alley beside the building. A quiet spot. Noah follows, heart hammering. Raindrops begin to fall, dotting the pavement. She turns to him, arms crossed. "Emily," voice tight, hesitant. "What do you want, Noah?" Noah, steady but pained. "The boys. Are they mine?" Silence stretches between them, thick with unspoken emotions. Thunder rumbles in the distance. Her eyes darted away, conflict written all over her face. "Emily," barely a whisper. "I never wanted to keep secrets, but sometimes life forces your hand." His stomach clenches. A mix of fear, regret, and hope surges through him. "Noah," firm but gentle. "Emily, please. Just tell me the truth. If they are mine, I swear, I will do right by them. By you." She closes her eyes, a single tear escaping down her cheek. Then she nods. The rain picks up, washing away the last traces of doubt. Noah exhales, the weight of a past he never realized crashing down on him. A father. He is a father. The realization is both terrifying and exhilarating. The sound of heavy rain pattering against the pavement fills the night. Thunder rumbles as headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the small-town diner where fate is about to unfold. Noah Kingston, a self-made millionaire, had built his life around discipline and control. Yet, standing in the pouring rain outside a rundown diner, control was the last thing he had. Across from him, Emily Carter, her eyes locked onto his, filled with both defiance and vulnerability, spoke the words that shattered his reality. "Yes," she whispered, voice trembling. "Noah, they're your sons." Lightning slashed the sky, as if nature itself gasped at the revelation. Noah's heartbeat thundered in his ears. For years of careful planning, of building his empire, of living a life meticulously crafted, obliterated in an instant. He was a father. The rain drenched them both, cold and relentless, but neither moved. The truth hung between them like a suspended breath, refusing to dissipate. Emily's lips parted, her breath hitching, waiting for his reaction. But what did one say in a moment like this? There were no business strategies or carefully curated responses for discovering you had children you never knew existed. How? The words slipped past his lips, hollow and raw. Emily flinched at his tone, then steadied herself. "It was one night, 5 years ago. You were on a business trip, staying at a hotel downtown. I had a rough day at work. My friend dragged me to a lounge for drinks. You were there. You never gave your last name. We talked about life, about family." She hesitated. "About loneliness." And then you were gone by morning. Flashes of memory stirred, dimly lit bars, whispered conversations, the quiet understanding between two lost souls. But nothing concrete, nothing that prepared him for this. Emily's voice shook. I tried to find you. I called the hotel, left messages, and asked around. But all I had was a first name, and you were already gone. When I realized I was pregnant, I was terrified. She hugged herself against the cold. By the time I stopped searching, I had no choice but to raise them alone. Regret burned through Noah. He prided himself on never losing control, yet he had lost 4 years of his children's lives without even knowing it. He forced himself to breathe. Emily, I had no idea. Her eyes darkened, brimming with unspoken pain. I know. The sound of a screen door creaking open cut through the moment. A waitress peeked out. Ain't you coming back? I can cover a little longer. Emily hesitated. Yeah, I'll be there. She turned back to Noah. Look, I have to go. But I get off at 9. If you're serious about talking, meet me then. Noah nodded. I'll be here. As she disappeared inside, Noah exhaled shakily. He had come here for answers. Instead, he had found the truth he never expected. And he wasn't sure if he was ready for it. The diner's neon sign flickered off at exactly 9 p.m. Noah's heart pounded as Emily stepped out, coat draped over her arm. She hesitated, then nodded toward the street. There's a coffee shop down the road. Let's go there. They drove in silence. The air inside the car was thick with tension, unspoken words swirling like ghosts. Once inside the dimly lit cafe, they sat across from each other. Two people bound by a past neither had fully understood until now. Emily stirred her coffee absently. The twins, Oliver and Owen, don't know about you. Noah swallowed hard. Do they ask? She nodded. I told them their father was someone I cared about, someone who didn't know about them. I didn't want them growing up thinking they were abandoned. His chest ached. Emily, I want to know them. I want to be in their lives. Her gaze sharpened. Fatherhood isn't just showing up one day and saying you care. They don't know you, Noah. You can't just waltz in and expect them to accept you. He nodded, taking in her fear. Then tell me how to fix this. She sighed. I don't know if it can be fixed, but if you're serious, you start small. You earn their trust. The clock on the cafe wall ticked away as they sat in silence. Then, hesitantly, Emily pulled out her phone. Would you like to see a picture of them? Noah's throat tightened. Yes. She turned the screen toward him. 2 identical boys grinned up at the camera, messy-haired, bright-eyed. A mirror of himself at that age. His vision blurred. He had missed so much. The night deepened, the air crisp with uncertainty. As they stepped outside, Emily hesitated. I need time, Noah. They need time. I understand, he said. And he meant it. She studied him, searching for deception. Finding none, she nodded. Then we start slow. He swallowed the lump in his throat. Whatever it takes. A shadow crossed Emily's face, a flicker of something unspoken. Fear, hesitation, hope. Okay. As she turned to walk away, Noah called after her. Emily. She paused. He exhaled. Thank you. For everything. She gave a small, almost sad smile. We'll see. As she disappeared into the night, Noah realized something. This wasn't just about his past anymore. This was about his future. And for the first time in years, he wasn't chasing money or success. He was chasing something real. Will Noah truly change for the better? Will Emily let him in? And what happens when the twins finally meet their father? Find out in the next chapter of their story. The weight of 4 lost years sat between them like a ghost, whispering regrets neither dared to speak first. Noah never thought a business trip would lead him here. Sitting across from Emily in a dimly lit coffee shop, his heart pounding as he processed her words. 2 boys. His sons. Emily stirred her tea, her fingers trembling slightly. I never planned to hide them, Noah. But I didn't know where to find you, and I wasn't sure you'd want to be found. Noah clenched his jaw. I should have looked harder. I should have. He exhaled sharply, shaking his head. I was drowning after my father died. The business took over everything. But that's no excuse for not finding you. Her lips pressed into a thin line, a sad acceptance in her eyes. I was angry at first, but then survival took over. I had to focus on them. The loud hiss of the espresso machine shattered the silence, making them both flinch. Emily let out a soft chuckle, shaking her head. Even the universe wants us to stop brooding. Noah gave a small, guilty smile. Maybe it's right. Maybe it's time I stop drowning in the past and start making things right. What does making things right even mean to you? Emily's voice was cautious, but there was hope there too. Noah leaned forward, unwavering. It means being their father, being here, making time for them. She arched an eyebrow. You have a corporate empire, a penthouse, a life built somewhere else. How does that fit into bedtime stories and scraped knees? His gut twisted. She was right. His world was polished boardrooms and high-rise views. There were crayons on the walls and bedtime giggles. A sharp knock on the coffee shop window startled them both. Emily turned, her face draining of color. Outside, in the glow of the street lamp, stood a figure from her past. The tension between them shifted from uncertainty to something deeper. Fear. Protection. Noah's hand tightened into a fist. Who is that? Emily hesitated, her breath shaky. Someone I hope never to see again. The barista called out, breaking the moment. We're closing in 5 minutes, folks. Noah didn't take his eyes off Emily. We're not done talking, and we're not running from this. She swallowed hard but nodded. Okay, but if you want to be in their lives, Noah, you have to prove you'll stay. He softened, reaching across the table. Then let me prove it. One step at a time. Emily slowly placed her hand in his, but outside, the shadowed figure lingered, watching, waiting. The night air was thick with silence, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves in the dimly lit parking lot. A lone street light flickered, casting eerie shadows on the pavement. Emily tightened her coat around her as she stepped out of the hospital doors, exhaustion evident in her weary eyes. She wasn't expecting him. Not here. Not now. Emily. A deep, familiar voice cut through the cold night air. Her breath caught in her throat. She turned slowly, her gaze locking onto Noah, taller, sharper, but still the man she once loved. The man who vanished 5 years ago, leaving her to raise their twins alone. What are you doing here? Her voice barely masked the tremor of emotion rising in her chest. Noah swallowed hard, his hands tightening into fists at his sides. I had to find you. Had to see them. I know I don't deserve it, but I need to know them. A car horn blared in the distance, but in this moment, the world shrank to just the two of them. You don't get to waltz back in after all these years and expect, she faltered, glancing at the hospital entrance, as if fearing the boys might suddenly appear. You don't know what we've been through. Then tell me, he implored. Let me prove I'm not the man I used to be. Emily exhaled, rubbing her temples. The twins should meet you soon, but I need time to prepare them. Let me explain gently that someone special is going to visit. I don't want to overwhelm them. He nodded. Of course. I understand. But did he? Could he ever truly understand the nights she stayed awake, worrying if she could afford their next meal? The birthdays he missed? The questions Oliver and Owen asked about their absent father? The next morning, a text popped up on Emily's phone. Noah, let's meet at the park. Noon. No pressure. Just to talk. She hesitated, then typed back. Okay. But this changes nothing. The park buzzed with laughter as children ran across the grass, their tiny sneakers kicking up dust. Noah stood near the swings, heart hammering. Then he saw them. 2 identical boys, one with an adventurous spark in his eye, the other more cautious, watching everything. Intently, Emily crouched beside them. Boys, I want you to meet someone. Oliver, the bolder of the two, tilted his head. Who's he? Noah crouched down, extending a small gift bag. Hi, I'm Noah. I brought something for you. Owen hesitated, gripping Emily's hand, but Oliver stepped forward and peeked inside. 2 plush puppies with floppy ears. His face lit up. A doggie. I love it. Owen, still uncertain, reached in, fingers brushing the soft fur. Thank you, he whispered. Emily exhaled slowly. her gaze meeting Noah's. In that moment, she saw something in him she hadn't seen before. Vulnerability. Hope. But could she trust it? As Oliver tugged on Noah's hand, urging him toward the playground, Emily's phone vibrated. A single, chilling message flashed on the screen. Unknown number. You think you can rewrite the past? He will leave again. And this time, you won't recover. Emily's stomach twisted. She looked up at Noah, laughing with the boys, unaware of the storm brewing. Was this a second chance? Or was it the prelude to another heartbreak? Fade IN. Luxury high-rise office. Night Noah Blackwood, 35. A sharp-dressed billionaire. Stares at his phone. His reflection in the glass window looks as lost as he feels. The city sprawls beneath him, glittering, lifeless. CFO VO Noah, this deal is everything. You disappear now, we lose billions. Are you listening? A long pause. Then Noah exhales, presses a button, and speaks. Noah, I'm out. He hangs up. He's made his decision. EXT, small town park. Day the laughter of children fills the air. The creaking of a swing echoes like a melody from a past life. Noah stands at a distance, his gaze locked onto Emily 30s, warm yet guarded, pushing two little boys, Oliver, 6, and Owen, 4, on the swings. His sons. Emily notices him. A flicker of hesitation, then steel in her voice. Emily, why are you here, Noah? Noah swallows, stepping closer. Noah, I needed to see them. And you. Oliver runs up first, wide-eyed. Oliver, do you like race cars? Noah kneels, a genuine smile forming. Noah, love him. Maybe we can race one day. Owen clutches his stuffed puppy tighter, wary. Noah's heart clenches. Emily, softly, let's walk. Int. Emily's home. Night a modest home, cozy but lived in. Noah stands at the door, holding a bouquet and ice cream. His hands tremble. Emily opens the door, arms crossed. Emily, a bribe? Noah, a peace offering. She hesitates before stepping aside. The dinner table is simple but warm. Pasta, laughter, the occasional clatter of spoons. Oliver is already chattering about race cars. Owen remains silent, watching Noah like a puzzle he can't solve. Mid-dinner, Emily's phone buzzes. She sighs. Emily, it's the neighbor. I'll be quick. Can you watch them? A flicker of doubt in her eyes. Noah nods. As soon as Emily leaves, Oliver grins. Oliver, race time. The house transforms into a track of giggles and cheers. Noah laughs, truly laughs, for the first time in years. Then a loud crash. The kitchen. Smoke. The oven is on fire. Noah dashes to the kitchen. Flames lick the edge of the towel he grabs, smothering the fire. Smoke fills the room. The boys scream. Noah, get back. Emily bursts in, eyes wide in horror. Emily, what happened? Noah coughing, oven caught fire. I handled it. Owen rushes to Emily, burying his face in her side. Oliver, eyes wide with awe, whispers to Noah. Oliver, you saved us. Noah swallows hard. Not just dinner. He's trying to save something bigger. Later, as the boys sleep, Emily walks Noah to the door. Emily, tonight could have been worse. Noah, yeah, but maybe it was worth it. A beat. A moment that lingers. Emily, softly, they want you here. But if you leave again, Noah, I won't. I swear. A charged silence. Then a nod. As Noah walks away, he realizes this isn't just about the past. It's about the future. Fade out. Soft, suspenseful background score. Narrator. Deep, captivating voice. What if a single dinner could change the course of your life? What if a past mistake brought you face to face with the one thing you never knew you needed? Tonight, we enter the world of Noah, a man lost in wealth, but about to discover the true meaning of family. Stay with us, because this story is about love, redemption, and a secret that could change everything. Cozy home, warm lighting, slight tension in the air, soft knock on the door, hesitant footsteps approaching. Door creaks open. Emily, soft smile, guarded eyes. Hey, you made it. Noah, holding out flowers, slightly nervous. Yeah, these are for you. And ice cream for the boys, if that's okay. Kids' excited footsteps rushing forward. Oliver, wide grin ice cream? What flavor? Noah, chuckling vanilla. But we've got sprinkles to make it fun. Owen peeks into the bag, nodding approvingly. Emily takes the flowers, a faint blush appearing before she places them on a nearby table. Emily, softly, you didn't have to, but thank you. The room is warm, lived in, children's drawings on the wall, a lingering aroma of home-cooked pasta. Noah steps in, taking in the life he had missed out on. He had spent years in boardrooms, surrounded by luxury, but standing in this small living room, with mismatched chairs and crayon-stained walls, he felt something foreign, something real. Scene, dinner table, clinking silverware, bursts of laughter. Oliver animatedly twirls his spaghetti, while Owen listens intently to Noah's travel stories, his eyes alight with curiosity. Oliver, excitedly, did you really see a rocket launch? Noah, grinning, I did. And let me tell you, it's even louder than your mom's vacuum cleaner. Emily chuckles softly, but her watchful gaze lingers on Noah. The warmth of the evening slowly dissolves her reservations. Post-dinner, living room, a toy car race in progress. Owen, usually reserved, hands Noah a coloring book, a silent invitation, a bridge. Noah, smiling, taking a crayon, all right, let's see who can make the wackiest-looking dinosaur. Emily watches from the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. There was something shifting, something unspoken, but with warmth came an undercurrent of fear. Emily had built this world on her own. Letting someone in meant risking everything. Scene, bedtime, dim lighting, cozy blankets. Emily hesitates, then turns to Noah. Emily, would you like to read them a story? Noah, swallowing hard, nodding, I'd love to. He settles between the boys, book in hand, voice soft but expressive. The boys hang on to every word, their eyelids growing heavy. Owen sleepily leans against Noah. A small, fragile moment. A bond forming. Fatherhood wasn't about grand gestures. It was about bedtime stories and whispered goodnights. Scene. Noah stands by the front door. Emily beside him. The night air cool and silent. Emily soft, unsure you're good with them. They took to you quickly. Noah earnest, hopeful, I want to be here. Not just tonight. Every night. If you'll let me. Emily exhales, something flickering in her eyes. Fear, longing, hope. Emily, a small smile. Maybe next time. You can help with bath time. That's always an adventure. Noah chuckles, nods deal. Door softly closes. Noah steps into the night, exhaling deeply, the weight of possibility pressing against him. For the first time in years, the future felt uncertain. But uncertainty wasn't fear, it was possibility. And in that small home, a woman and two little boys were daring to believe in him. Noah reaches for his phone, his breath hitching at the missed calls. Business partners, investors, his carefully constructed empire calling him back. Phone buzzes, urgency in the air. A choice loomed ahead, a life of power and wealth, or the fragile, beautiful chaos of family. What would he choose? And would love be enough to keep him here? The sound of sirens echoed through the bustling city street, flashing red and blue, illuminating the millionaire's sleek black car. The impact had been minor, yet as Noah stepped out, his heart pounded. A woman stood before him, her eyes wide, her hand clutching the small of her back. She wasn't dressed in designer clothes, nor did she have the air of someone who belonged in his world. Yet there was something about her, something that made him pause. Emily, a struggling single mother, had just finished her night shift as a cleaning staff in a luxury hotel when fate literally threw her into Noah's path. Her small child, Oliver, clung to her leg, scared yet defiant. "You rich people think you own the road," she snapped, rubbing her sore wrist. "Some of us don't have the luxury of getting hit and walking away like nothing happened." Noah wasn't used to being spoken to that way, but instead of responding with his usual arrogance, he found himself apologizing and offering her help. Then, something unexpected happened. Emily refused. A woman who barely had enough money to feed herself was turning down help from a billionaire? Intrigued, Noah couldn't just walk away. What started as an accident soon became an obsession. Noah found himself drawn to Emily's world, an old, dimly lit apartment where laughter somehow still echoed. A child's bedtime stories whispered against the backdrop of unpaid bills. Emily, despite her struggles, had a strength he admired. Unlike the boardrooms and high-stakes deals he was used to, her world was messy, unpredictable, and real. Every night, he visited. Every night, he found himself staying longer. Just as he reached for his phone to check the stock market, Oliver pulled at his sleeve. "Can you read to me tonight?" Noah hesitated. A millionaire CEO reading bedtime stories? That wasn't his role. Yet, something in the boy's hopeful gaze made him set his phone down. The more time he spent with them, the more Noah started questioning everything. Was this what he had been missing? But just as he was beginning to find comfort in this new life, a storm was brewing. The board was growing restless. Noah's absence had started to raise questions. Investors were nervous. And then came the ultimatum. Return to headquarters immediately or risk losing control of everything he built. Noah stood at a crossroads. If he left, he risked losing Emily and the small family he never knew he needed. If he stayed, his empire would crumble. And then, Emily made the decision for him. "Go," she whispered, forcing a smile. "We'll be here when you come back." But would they? As Noah drove away, Oliver's last words echoed in his mind. "You promise you'll come back?" The city lights blurred outside his car window, but the real storm was within him. The boardroom was silent as Noah walked in, his usual commanding presence slightly shaken. Stanton, the board member who had been breathing down his neck, leaned forward. "You finally decided what's more important?" Noah's jaw clenched. "Yes, and that's why, after this deal, I'm stepping down." Gasps filled the room. For the first time in his life, Noah had made a decision not based on wealth, but on love. As he boarded his flight back, his heart raced. Would Emily still be waiting? Would Oliver still believe in his promise? The answer waited for him on the other side of the door. Noah knocked. His breath held. The door creaked open. Emily stood there, eyes unreadable. And then Oliver ran to him, arms wide. "You came back." Noah dropped to his knees, holding the boy tight. From behind him, Emily whispered, "Welcome home." The sirens of his past had faded. Only the warmth of the present remained. The sound of sirens echoed through the bustling city street, flashing red and blue, illuminating the millionaire's sleek black car. The impact had been minor, yet as Noah stepped out, his heart pounded. A woman stood before him, her eyes wide, her hand clutching the small of her back. She wasn't dressed in designer clothes, nor did she have the air of someone who belonged in his world. Yet, there was something about her, something that made him pause. Emily, a struggling single mother, had just finished her night shift as a cleaning staff in a luxury hotel when fate literally threw her into Noah's path. Her small child, Oliver, clung to her leg, scared yet defiant. "You rich people think you own the road," she snapped, rubbing her sore wrist. "Some of us don't have the luxury of getting hit and walking away like nothing happened." Noah wasn't used to being spoken to that way, but instead of responding with his usual arrogance, he found himself apologizing and offering her help. Then, something unexpected happened. Emily refused. A woman who barely had enough money to feed herself was turning down help from a billionaire? Intrigued, Noah couldn't just walk away. What started as an accident soon became an obsession. Noah found himself drawn to Emily's world, an old, dimly lit apartment where laughter somehow still echoed a child's bedtime stories whispered against the backdrop of unpaid bills. Emily, despite her struggles, had a strength he admired. Unlike the boardrooms and high-stakes deals he was used to, her world was messy, unpredictable, and real. Every night, he visited. Every night, he found himself staying longer. Just as he reached for his phone to check the stock market, Oliver pulled at his sleeve. "Can you read to me tonight?" Noah hesitated. A millionaire CEO reading bedtime stories? That wasn't his role. Yet, something in the boy's hopeful gaze made him set his phone down. The more time he spent with them, the more Noah started questioning everything. Was this what he had been missing? But just as he was beginning to find comfort in this new life, a storm was brewing. The board was growing restless. Noah's absence had started to raise questions. Investors were nervous. And then came the ultimatum: return to headquarters immediately or risk losing control of everything he built. Noah stood at a crossroads. If he left, he risked losing Emily and the small family he never knew he needed. If he stayed, his empire would crumble. And then Emily made the decision for him. "Go," she whispered, forcing a smile. "We'll be here when you come back." But would they? As Noah drove away, Oliver's last words echoed in his mind. "You promise you'll come back?" The city lights blurred outside his car window, but the real storm was within him. The boardroom was silent as Noah walked in, his usual commanding presence slightly shaken. Stanton, the board member who had been breathing down his neck, leaned forward. "You finally decided what's more important?" Noah's jaw clenched. "Yes, and that's why, after this deal, I'm stepping down." Gasps filled the room. For the first time in his life, Noah had made a decision not based on wealth, but on love. As he boarded his flight back, his heart raced. Would Emily still be waiting? Would Oliver still believe in his promise? The answer waited for him on the other side of the door. Noah knocked. His breath held. The door creaked open. Emily stood there, eyes unreadable. And then Oliver ran to him, arms wide. "You came back." Noah dropped to his knees, holding the boy tight. From behind him, Emily whispered, "Welcome home." The sirens of his past had faded. Only the warmth of the present remained. Jack Reynolds, a once ruthless CEO, now finds himself torn between two worlds: the cold, calculated corporate jungle he once dominated and the warm, chaotic small-town life he never thought he'd crave. He had everything: money, power, an empire at his feet. But all of that fell hollow now. As the city lights shrank below him, his mind wasn't on the multi-billion-dollar merger waiting for him. It was on her, Elena Hawkins, a woman who had shaken up his world, not with ambition or grand gestures, but with quiet strength and unwavering love. And her son, Elio, a bright-eyed, curious 5-year-old who had unknowingly carved a permanent space in Jack's guarded heart. "Just close the deal and get back," he muttered to himself. But deep down, he knew this wasn't just another business trip. This was a battle for the life he truly wanted. The moment Jack lands, he's swept into the ruthless world he once thrived in. His team rushes him from the airport straight to the towering glass headquarters, where the stakes are high and patience is low. The Omega Group executives, polished, predatory, and skeptical, watch him like vultures, questioning his priorities. The board members aren't any kinder. They need this deal to prove Jack is still the cutthroat leader they invested in. His mind should be on numbers, leverage, contracts. But his phone keeps buzzing. And every time he sees Elena's name flash on the screen, his heart clenches. He doesn't answer. On the 5th night, the deal is on the verge of closing. Then the text arrives. "Elena, Jack, it's Leo. He fell, he's bleeding. We're at the hospital." His pulse stops. The entire room fades into white noise. The multimillion-dollar deal no longer matters. Only them. Jack stands abruptly. The boardroom falls silent. Stanton, his cold, calculating business rival, narrows his eyes. "Stanton, where do you think you're going? We're about to finalize." Jack meets his gaze, voice like steel. "Jack, sign it without me." A stunned silence follows. Nobody disrespects the board. Stanton, mocking, "You're leaving a billion-dollar deal for a woman and her kid." Jack's jaw tightens. For the first time, he sees the life he's leaving behind, and the life he's choosing. "Jack, calm but deadly no. I'm leaving for my family." He walks out. Not a single person dares stop him. Jack barely remembers the drive, the flight, the sprint through the hospital. When he sees Elena cradling a tear-streaked Leo, something inside him breaks. He rushes forward, kneeling before them. Jack softly, touching Leo's bandaged hand. "I'm here, buddy. I've got you." Leo sniffles, then gives a weak smile. "Elio, you're late." Jack lets out a choked laugh. He turns to Elena, whose eyes glisten with unspoken emotion. "Elena, you really left." Jack brushes a strand of hair from her face, his voice rough with emotion. "Jack, for you?" "Always." The next morning, Jack's phone rings. The deal went through without him. The board didn't implode. The company survived. But more importantly, he didn't lose the people who mattered most. Sitting on the porch with Elena and Leo, watching the sunrise, Jack finally understood. Home wasn't a place. It was them. And he wasn't going anywhere. A dimly lit high-rise apartment in New York City. The skyline glows through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Rain patters against the glass. Jason, late 30s, a sharp-dressed businessman, stands by the window, gripping a half-empty glass of whiskey. His reflection stares back at him, haunted. Behind him, Sophia, early 30s, warm yet guarded, folds a letter in her hands. Her fingers tremble. Sophia, softly. "Jason, I can't keep pretending everything is fine. This isn't working." Jason turns sharply, his eyes dark, a mix of fear and defiance. "Jason, what do you mean? We're fine. We always make it work." Sophia exhales, staring down at the letter before slipping it onto the coffee table. "Sophia, read it. Maybe then you'll understand." Jason hesitates before snatching the letter. His hands tighten around the paper as his eyes scan the words. A sudden thunderclap outside startles him. He looks up, but Sophia is already walking toward the door. "Jason, Sophia, wait." She pauses but doesn't turn around. "Sophia, I need space. I need to figure out who I am, outside of this, outside of you." The door clicks shut. Jason stands frozen, letter trembling in his hand. The rain outside intensifies, mirroring the storm brewing inside him. Days turn into weeks. Jason buries himself in work, but nothing numbs the ache. A voicemail from Sophia plays in his head, over and over. Sophia's voice echoing. "Jason, I never meant to hurt you, but I had to leave before I lost myself." Desperate, Jason traces her whereabouts, finally a lead. A small town by the coast. He drives for hours, the city fading in his rearview. The pounding of his heart matches the roar of the ocean. A rustic bookstore. Jason pushes open the door, and a small bell chimes. Inside, Sophia sits by a window, flipping through a book. Her hair falls over her face, but there's peace in her demeanor, until she looks up and sees him. Sophia whispers, "Jason." A long pause. The air between them is thick, unresolved. "Jason, you left, but you never gave me a chance to fight for us." Sophia closes her book, swallowing hard. "Sophia, Jason, love isn't a fight. It's something that should feel like home." "Jason, and I was so busy building walls, I never let you in, was I?" She nods, tears brimming. Jason exhales sharply, stepping closer. That night, they walk by the cliffs, the waves crashing below. The tension between them is raw, electric. "Jason, I'm willing to start over. No more boardrooms, no more distractions. Just you and me." "Sophia, Jason, I don't need grand gestures. I need consistency. I need to know you're here because you want to be, not because you're afraid to be alone." A heavy silence. Jason clenches his jaw, then slowly reaches into his pocket and pulls out a second letter, one he wrote but never sent. He presses it into her hand. "Jason, I've been holding on to this. Read it when you're ready." Sophia watches him for a long moment. The ocean winds whip around them. Then she unfolds the paper. A heartbeat. Then Sophia's voice reading the letter softly. Jason's words. "You once asked me if I knew what love really was. I didn't, but now I do. Love is letting go of fear. Love is choosing you, even when it's hard. If you'll have me, I want to choose you. Every single day." Sophia closes her eyes, tears slipping down her face. A decision is made. The screen fades out with the sound of waves crashing, leaving the audience on the edge, desperate to know, does she stay or does she go? Did this story touch your heart? Share your thoughts in the comments. On a scale of 0 to 10, how powerful was this tale? Smash that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a story that stirs your soul. For more heart racing, Emotional Tales. Tap the end screen now.